Said this phrase a lot this week, but based on the way Andy's been rolling this week, this goes. Even this way. Bullseye.
Game shot in the first leg.
Well, there you go.
Colley.
He knows that.
Risha requires 16.
It's the equivalent in this position of hitting an 11. But he doesn't. He hits the heart of double 8. Unfortunately, Andy's comeback is halted by a bad shot at double 10 that forced him into an unwanted corner. And now we've got 3 people on 6 points in the table. And the bottom 2, the 2 most experienced players in Group B. Bolton has 2, Webster has 2, and Colley is now, well, very, very close to qualifying with 3 matches to go, unless things go horribly wrong over the next few matches. Darren Webster is back, looking to get his own back on Scott Taylor, but last night he was the best player by some distance statistically.
And this is a match-winning opportunity for Scott Taylor.
That'll do. As will that. As will that. That's one way to get 119. 3 bits of lipstick, and that's one of those performances where you've got a perfect sandwich shot. 60 bull treble 3. You won't see that very often, but that was a bit of a trick up his sleeve. Doesn't seem too happy with the 4-0 win. You should be very happy, Scott, because you're on 8 points. Your leg difference has gone to +9, and you're 1 win away from getting to Saturday to have a crack at £20,000. He could even break the heart of Andy Bolton because that's who he plays next. However, next on our menu is Colley versus the Bomb. And don't leave this short.
40.
That was such a difficult shot.
Risha requires 60.
Yeah, very tough. And now another match chance for Colley.
Tops. 10s will do. And Rhys Colley has gotten away with it again. 4-2 against Bolton. And this time with the darts, he wins 4-2 again. Those games will feel like carbon copies. But he doesn't care because he's now on 8 points with a leg difference of +6. He goes to 2nd position and Ron Meulenkamp goes to the bubble position of 3rd. However, with a 4-point buffer. We move away from that now and we go to Bolton and Taylor. And with only 3 games to go, Andy Bolton must win this next game. Otherwise, the exit door is screaming his name. Time away from friends, family. Sometimes the lack of sleep. Oh, look. Andy's on 104. How many's that? 4 this week?
Yeah.
Andy Bolton.
104, number 4.
Finding himself in a few very unorthodox positions. Double. Down there. And there's trouble down there for Bolton.
Scott Taylor.
Is there anything that Scott Taylor has not tried and succeeded at? This would be useful. Bullseye. Wow. What a shot from Bolton. That's his second 1-6-1.
Require 106.
Can he save his bacon?
Needs a treble. Finds it. Opts for double 13. And that is absolutely outstanding there from Andy Bolton.
Another one? Not another one. Well, that would have been something out of another universe had he done that.
Scott, you require 124.
Is he about to have his heart snapped in 2, or will he get another look? Heartless Scott Taylor does it again.
The match. Scott Taylor.
But he's through to Saturday night. That's going to be good enough. And Andy Bolton looks like he's not going to make it. It's not mathematical at this point, but Scott Taylor just keeps putting the pressure on every single person he plays. And that is another outstanding display. That 1-2-4 at the end just denied Andy a shot at 64 to maybe squeak a little bit closer to Ron Meulenkamp. That's a great result for him. All of the headlines overnight were Meulenkamp and Webster for the wrong reasons, and they've got to play each other next.
Quite a few instances, and I think it's something that I had to develop as I went along because I wasn't one to challenge people. But double 5 here for Ron
Game
Meulenkamp.
shot on the first leg.
Yeah, that's much better
Ron
because
Meulenkamp.
I saw a few things maybe creeping into his game in the opening match for him. A feeling that you can't manufacture.
Yep.
It's very natural.
That adrenaline can be very handy. Double 16 for John Cougar Meulenkamp. If you're a fan of music, you'll get that reference.
Ron Meulenkamp.
One match start has come and gone, but he has another.
30. Darren required 40.
Double top.
Game shot.
We go the distance.
Darren Webster.
Can you do it now, or will you have to wait till later?
Ron to throw first. Game on.
Unmind, and he's left 36 after 12. And he has won the match. And he books a spot into Saturday night as well. Darren Webster is eliminated. And I think they just got to draw a line under this now, haven't they? They will leave the stage, and as soon as they get back to the practice room, the news will be broken that we do have our Champions Week field for Saturday night, and it will include Ron Meulenkamp. Darren Webster loses by 4 legs to 3 and will take Andy Bolton to the exit door with him at the end of Friday night. If he tried to hit that again, he couldn't.
Couldn't have found a smaller section.
Outrageous accuracy from Rhys Colley. And he's lost the leg.
On the first leg. Scott
well,
Taylor.
we've gone from the strange to the brilliant. This guy's going to be here as well. Double top.
Game shot on the second
Fancy.
leg. Scott Taylor.
2-0. Now, is Rhys Colley going to inflict a defeat on Scott Taylor?
40.
He's played superbly in this game.
Game
and he's won it.
The match.
What a great match that was. And now we've got a bit of a battle on our hands to see who's going to win this group, because Colley has gone to 10 points. And with that win, he has reduced Taylor's leg difference to +9 and swollen his to +7. So we might have a little sprint on our hands from Colley. He's going to play against Darren Webster in game 8. But before we get there, it's going to be Bolton against Meulenkamp for game number 7.
And he required 25.
Be careful what you wish for, Cam. Double 8 for Andy.
21.
Maybe it's only a matter of time before he crosses the line, but had he done so a little bit quicker in this 4th leg, that average would have been his best of the week. So little, so late.
35. And he required 4.
He's getting there. He's got to jump a little bit further up, just like that one. And there it is. Well, if you think that's the last you're going to see of Andy Bolton, think again, because he's got one more match to come in game number 10. The pressure's off Ron because he is into Saturday night, but Andy Bolton is determined to entertain before he leaves us from Series 6. There you can see the average is 92.5. Had he got rid of that 4th leg a little bit sooner, he would have broken 3 figures for the first time this week. But he has got one more chance to do so when he plays against Norwich's finest when we return for game 10 a little bit later on. But speaking of Darren Webster, he's taking on Rhys Colley next. Well, I know a shot that's going to get on Rhys's nerves.
Game shot on the first leg. Darren Webster.
And that's it. Double top.
105.
For Darren Webster will seal his deal in this game. And there it is. Darren Webster wins his first game of the night, and it also means that Scott Taylor has won Group B. He finds his way to the top with a game to spare. He will play against Ron Meulenkamp in game number 9 after what we've just seen there. Rhys Colley's job is done, so he can breathe a sigh of relief knowing that he has done more than enough to get to Saturday night. As for Darren, he's got one more game to go against Andy Bolton. But before we get there, it will be Taylor, newly crowned Group B champion, up against the Bomb. Double 14. That's a lovely checkout.
Third leg. Scott Taylor.
I'm not sure what that's about. Dartboard doesn't do anything to you, Scott. That'd be a really good brand of tea. If it's got a lot of caffeine in it.
121.
Have your tenacious tea to start your day. Oh,
Game
beautiful.
Shot the fifth leg. Scott Taylor.
Somebody's woken up. There's 0.06 between them in the averages here. I'm like Hugh Grant, and I'm still thinking.
Game shot on the sixth.
We have a one-leg shootout
Taylor.
to finish game 9.
140.
Notice how Scott Taylor said the word bad in the funniest possible way. Energy levels, oh, they're bad.
100.
So funny.
It was just said with comedic timing, but also it was the most positive thing that he actually said in response to the question.
I love a bit of honesty. That takes the honesty
60,
trophy of the week so far.
138.
But Darren would feel bad if he loses 4-0. Well, what does Andy want to do from here?
127.
Finds the bullseye.
Darren require
The
80.
intended target. Webster needs to hit single for double.
60. And he requires
And can't
11.
find the target. So 11 for Andy Bolton for a consecutive 4-0 win.
Game shot and the
And
match.
there you have it. Andy Bolton finishes off this Group B action with a 4-0 win over Darren Webster. Andy Bolton will probably look back at this Group B session and just realise, just been unlucky, but there he is. He's still smiling, he's happy, and he posted his best average so far, 100.20. And as I say, that is a 4-0 win. Darren Webster posting an 89.55, but for him, just maybe a bit of disappointment for this campaign. But if we can go over to the studio where Paul Nicholson has joined Henry Deacon.
Thank you very much, Laura. And so that is it as far as qualification in Champions Week in the Motor Super Series is concerned. Paul Nicholson's been watching every single dart from the commentary box. He joins us here now. First and foremost, let's talk about Andy Bolton, because he put in some real good performances this week, but maybe timing let him down this time around.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, especially in A when he was up against Sykes and Taylor. He just wasn't able to do what they were doing. And it just so happens that he finds his best performances towards the end of a Group B campaign when everybody's finished their campaign. So, tough on Andy. I know he really wanted to make Champions Night, but not on this occasion. But that 100 average at the end, it just goes to show that he's got the staying power to make it to the end of the night. He just wasn't able to get to the very end of the campaign. So, I'm sad for Andy because I know how much he wants to win this trophy, but I'm sure he'll have another crack.
But at least we got to see a juicy wiggle, so you know, everyone's a winner in that particular respect. Right, let's show you what we have seen then this evening. These are the results from Friday night's action. It began with a victory for Reece Colley against Andy Bolton, and it was all done at the halfway stage of the evening. Ron Moonekamp, Scott Taylor and Reece Colley all doing their job quite early on, and then in fairness as well, the race to marry up all the positions, well, that was kind of done and dusted quite quickly. We thought we were going to have a night of drama. If anything, it was pretty routine.
Yeah, it was. The separation was created by Reece Colley in his first couple of games, and he stretched the field between the top 3 and the bottom 2. So he's done himself a lot of credit, but he also did a few favours for the others in the top 3 as well. Just managed to keep the likes of Bolton and Webster at bay. So a great job by the top 3, but now the job is very different. The cutthroat nature of Saturday night is very different to that of any group they've played this week, and they've all been there before.
Let's talk about Scott Taylor. We could talk about Scott all night, really, because there's so many different storylines about him. I want to begin by talking about the energy levels. I spoke to him downstairs a second or so ago, and he said he is basically running on empty. It's so hard when you win week 12 and you go back to back. Yes, you've got that momentum factor, but when you play 5 days and 5 days, it does drain.
Yeah, I've been there, actually. I know how Scott is feeling when you've played day on day on day on day, and all you want is just that one day off where you can just refresh the lungs and just find a way to be the best possible version of yourself. And having one day off will probably give you that, but he doesn't have a day off. He's got half a day to reset his batteries, recharge them, and be the best version of himself. Because I just get the feeling he's going to need to be that against the very dangerous Tom Sykes and some people from other groups.
He's the only player that's been in the room on the night where this trophy has been up for collection. Does that work to his mind? Because he knows what this particular occasion is like. He knows what a Champions Night is like. He knows the ins and outs of it from before.
There are players in Champions Night that have been in front of raucous crowds before. Remember the Circus Tavern for John O'Shea in 2019? That was a hot, steamy Sunday when he won that tournament. But a lot of these players, when they come into this atmosphere for the very first time, they will feel uncertain as to what they are going to get. Scott knows exactly what he's coming into tomorrow, and I think it does play a part. And is he playing better than he was the last time he was here on a Champions Night? Absolutely.
Let's have a chat about Rhys Colley then. He made his way through at the midway point of the evening, and it feels like a player very much in his evolution stage, and feels like a player that's evolutionising step by step. He won his breakthrough WDF title in 2022, made his Lakeside debut and his England debut in 2023, and now in 2024 wins a week here and is playing for a major title.
Yeah, he's definitely moving in the right direction, but I think at a very attainable rate, and that excites me. Because sometimes when you've got someone who is grabbing all the headlines in World Darts and they're doing it at this meteoric rate, we have to communicate to the majority of the other players, like Colley and some others, that that's not particularly how your journey is going to go. Rhys has been on the scene for a few years and he's continually improving. So that's how his evolution is being created. And he's okay with that. I think he's just got to have a bit more patience than some of these blowout superstars like we've had with Leighton Bennett and Luke Littler and some of the young girls that are coming through, like Bo Greaves. So great evolution over the last few years, but maybe he can just speed up a little bit and get his fingerprints on that in the next 24 hours.
As far as Ron Meulenkamp is concerned, do you think maybe we'll see the best of him tomorrow night? Look, we know what happened last night going into this evening. That may have had a possible effect in one or two matches. In the light of day, when tomorrow comes, it's a clearer sky and all the rest of it, and he's playing for this, do you feel like we may see the best version of Ron Meulenkamp? The Ron Meulenkamp who averaged 91 over the week to be runner-up to Chris Landman.
Maybe. You're talking about a player who has an awful lot of experience. But I've been thinking about this for the last few hours. You think about Crabtree and O'Shea, they will feel that if they can hit their top gear, that maybe they can grasp this trophy come 11:30 Saturday night. But Ron, who has at times shown some excellent stuff, I think he's the one person who's got a free hit. He's the one person who's really not expected to come and win this because of finishing third in this group and everything that's happened in the last 24 hours. Has he been distracted? There'll be lots of narratives in a somewhat negative sense. My advice to Ron would be, turn up Saturday night, go and have a blast. No pun intended. See what happens. What's the worst that can happen? I think there are other players under way more pressure than him.
Well, let's have a look then at the table just to confirm how the players made it through. Taylor from Colley from Meulenkamp, they're the top three in that group. Andy Bolton and Dan Webster have been great additions to Champions League, but that is the end of the road as far as that is concerned. So we now know the 6 players that will be playing for the Modus Super Series trophy tomorrow night, and this is how they got there. Tom Sykes has had 2 days of sitting back, relaxing and enjoying himself, watching everybody else go through the ringer. He won Group A on Wednesday afternoon. This afternoon, we saw one of the most exciting young talents in the sport, Cam Crabtree, book his place into the Super 6, with John O'Shea making it through as runners-up, and the former Masters champion could become the Super Series champion. Group B, as we saw tonight, is Taylor from Colley from Meulenkamp. And as far as the final 6 lineup is concerned, we've had previous series here in the past, haven't we, where we've had Luke Littler dominate. Darryl Pilgrim's gone in a big favourite. Raymond Smith's gone in a big favourite in the past. But this time round, this feels very, very open.
I think that can be one of the ways you look at it. If we look at the form book coming into this, I think there are 2 heavy favourites. Taylor and Sykes. Everybody else is playing catch-up. The numbers won't lie. When we're here at 7:30 on Saturday night, those numbers will prove that those two are expected to be the ones to beat. That will be the case.
Well, we can confirm as well the fixtures for tomorrow night. This is how Group 1 looks. Tom Sykes against John O'Shea is the opening match. It'll be followed by Taylor and Moulenkamp, O'Shea against Colley, Moulenkamp Crabtree, Colley against Sykes, Crabtree up against Scott Taylor. That could be a real horrid one in Group 2. Just having a look at them fixtures. As far as Tom Sykes is concerned, that is a horrid opener against John O'Shea, having not played for a couple of days.
Well, if you look at it this way, John started to play better in Champions Week for me than he did last week. And looking at the way they qualified, they both qualified very late in the schedule. Sykes came from 10, John came from week 12. So the freshness and the readiness will be there. But as far as Champions Night is concerned, you're not going to get any easy starts. This cutthroat format, you've got to get out the blocks. One thing that Tom will be very, very aware of is that when he played on Wednesday, he didn't get a good start, but he did respond well. All of these patterns of behaviour, I'm sure he'll be thinking about. But if he gets a bad start against John, the pressure will be ramped when he comes up against his second opponent.
And as far as John O'Shea is concerned, you look at those lists of players, you've got the likes of Crabtree, who's done well on the Challenge Tour before, Scott Taylor, who's won Challenge Tours in the past. But John O'Shea is the only player in that lineup who has won a massive televised event in the Masters. Does that give him a possible advantage?
You'd have to ask John that, and he might give you quite a detailed answer, which everybody would want to listen to. I'm not sure it does, if I'm honest. I think experience tells in this building. That's why Scott Taylor comes into this really raring to go. And Sykes, let's not forget, he's playing at a higher level than John right now and has played here more than John has. I think if we gauge people on what happened 4 years ago, it's a dangerous precedent. So let's focus on what they're doing this week. And if we are, it's definitely Taylor and Sykes.
To put you on the spot, which one do you reckon takes it?
One of Taylor or Sykes.
I knew he was going to sit on the fence.
Can't let everything go, can we?
Well, Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure to have your company today, and it's going to be suited, booted, ready for tomorrow night to see you lift set, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Bring it on.
Bring it on, indeed. Well, what a mammoth Championship Friday we have seen. And so we now know the identity of the 6 players that will be competing for this trophy and a place in the history books, £20,000, and to join a list of names that include Luke Littler, Conan Whitehead, Jim McEwen and Raymond Smith in the Modus Super Series winners enclosure. We're going to be live with you tomorrow evening from 7:30 p.m. from the Live Lounge here in Portsmouth on the Modus Super Series YouTube channel. We'll then be transmitting live on Sporty Stuff TV from 10, with the winner being crowned a little over 11:15 tomorrow evening. So it's going to be an enthralling day of ours and a night of ours as well. So do join myself, Paul Law, the whole team here at the Super Series from 7:30. But as far as Group B is concerned, well, it was Scott, that was the Taylor, who had all the power tonight.
Until you give me one. But he's had one of these hit against him already today, has Steve Hine, and there's another one.
Doesn't have the longest streak of wins. Scott Taylor has got a 141 though for a 15 darter. Taylor for 112 to stop Ross from getting a shot at that very number. Double top.
That's
why we rate him, because he's just very, very good.